Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. We saw some pretty significant updates in the season 4 patch when it comes to weapon tuning, especially to some of the long range weapons. We saw several surprising buffs and nerfs on both end, so today we are breaking down the new long range meta here in season 4 of Warzone. As we go through it all, if you enjoy the video at any point, let me know by dropping a like on it. And if you're new to the channel or if you have not already subscribed, every single day I got you covered with all things going on in COD. So feel free to hit that sub button and turn on those post notifications. So let's be real here. We all know there's a very obvious best gun in the game right now. It is the NZ41 and it is the best long range weapon. So we're gonna go ahead, get this one out of the way real quick. We've talked about it several times over the past few days, so no surprises here. We're going for MX silencer, the 360mm barrel. I like the 3 to 6 times scope on here. You could also use the G16 2.5 times if you're comfortable with that, or anything else you might prefer over the 3 to 6. I also like the EPAC stock on there for that solid control. I'm gonna go ahead and run hand stop on there for better control as well. The Sakura 50 round mags, we're gonna go for lengthen for that better velocity. I'm still loving taped on here for that better movement speed and whatnot. It just makes it feel a little bit more aggressive, and honestly, the recoil is so easy you don't really need polymer, if I'm being honest. Also gonna run frenzy. All these perks are kind of mediocre, so that's a bit unfortunate. Then perk 2, we're going for fully loaded just to maximize our ammo. Same setup we've been running, but it gets the job done. Next up, we got the bar. They actually ended up buffing the main meta build here that obviously I'm going to show you guys in a few moments, which is nice and convenient. It makes it even better for long range. It's still very easy to use, and it just hits hard. The thing has a fantastic TTK, and it also is super simple to use. I mean, the recoil is like next to none. We're gonna go for the MX silencer first and foremost, the 30-inch barrel here for the best control and velocity and whatnot. The 3 to 6 times scope, again, what's awesome here is you can go all the way on the 6 times here, and even though it's so zoomed in, the recoil is so little, you can actually be very accurate on that 6 times zoom. I also like the wire stock here. The recoil is so easy, you don't need a recoil based stock, so you can get some aggression and mobility back out of that. We're gonna go for hand stop yet again. The Clouser 40 round mags are a crucial part of this setup. They nerfed the BMG, so you don't want to be using those. Again, we're going for lengthens. In this case, I would use polymer. You don't really need taped on it, in my opinion. Polymer works just fine. We're gonna go for hard scope for more control, and then also fully loaded once more. So like I said, you get an absolute laser beam of a weapon that has great power. Now, the long range meta is not just only Vanguard guns. There are several Cold War guns here. They just all have the same setup. So we're just gonna look at the Vargo here. This is obviously one of the best long range weapons in the game, top 4 I would argue, but also things like the XM4 and the Fara, and even the QBZ, I would say too, they can all be applied here. Just copy and paste the setup over to those guns. We all know it by now. It's Screw Suppressor, it's Task Force, it's the Spetsnaz grip, the 60 round mags, then also the 3 times optic. I'm sure that's engraved into everyone's brains like it is mine. I close my eyes at night and I see this setup copy and pasted, but I mean, it works. It is the best way to build a Cold War rifle, and like I said, we got a few options when it comes down to that. Now, even though the STG did see some nerfs with the season 4 patch, it's still super easy to use, and for that reason, sort of combined with the fact that it has decent power still, it's a top option for sure. The TTK is still going to be very, very competitive in the general meta. The setup, though, not really changing from before. MX silencer, 760mm barrel. I like the 2.5 times here. It just feels like an absolute laser. You could go for folding stock or the precision stock here on Caldera, on Fortune's Keep, on Rebirth, whatever. Both are great choices. Precision is more so meant to have like a faster ADS. Takes away any possible horizontal bounce there might be. Folding, though, obviously a little bit more aggressive, but it hurts your initial recoil, which I really don't think is all that much. So I kind of like running folding on here just to experiment around a little bit. We are going to go for hand stop on here per usual. The Gorenko 50 lengthened as always. We're going to go for polymer as well. Perk 1, nerves of steel, better control while injured, and then also fully loaded once more, which we're going to use on pretty much every single Vanguard rifle in the game. Now, man, the Whitley got a lot of buffs with the season 4 update, and while it's a little bit awkward to use, it's obviously very heavy when it comes down to sheer power over range. The Whitley is bringing it, so I would highly recommend trying it out. It definitely fits in the current long range meta, in my opinion. We're obviously going to go for MX silencer per usual. For the barrels, I think the Gracie MK9 is probably the most consistent. These other ones are not bad, but they're also not great for what we're trying to go for. If you wanted a more aggressive one, like there are barrels for that. The Ragdoll is decent for better velocity, but Gracie here, better control, also better velocity as well. So I think that's a clear choice in my opinion. 3 to 6 times scope per usual, or any other one you're super comfortable with. For the stock here, again, you have some options. EM3 is not bad at all for that initial firing recoil. I think the R4 is probably the most consistent, but it's also the heaviest. Padded's not bad at all either, but like I said, R4, despite being slow, is going to give you the most benefits in my opinion. We're definitely going to be using hand stop here to minimize some of that control. I honestly am kind of torn on the magazines. I've used several different ones and they all feel all right. I think the British 45 is where most players will lean because it's not super heavy and it also makes the gun very easy to use. 45 rounds though is just not great in my opinion, but I think it's sort of the lesser of all evils here. You could also try using the BMG round, but it's going to be super heavy and slow, and same deal with the 30-06 120. So that's just your basic extended mag. I feel like British 45 is kind of the most realistic choice, despite the fact that these aren't bad. They're just not convenient when it comes to speed at all. We are going to go for lengthened as always yet again on long range. Polymer once more, hard scope for the better control, and then you guessed it, fully loaded's on there as well. We do have one MW weapon in the long range meta right now, and I would say that is the Bruen. Low recoil, it also has a great range. I mean, the TTK over range is hyper competitive with some of these other options that we've already talked about in this video. It doesn't feel as competitive in general as some of these Vanguard guns, but it does still bring the power. It's just gonna have that worse mobility. Obviously only 5 attachments is a drawback, but if you're looking to use something that's not a boring Vanguard gun, this is definitely a solid option in my opinion. So we're gonna go for the Summit barrel and the monolithic suppressor. We're gonna go for the VOK 3x sight as always, the 60 round mags. Then honestly, I like the Commando foregrip and the tac laser on here. Tac laser is more so of like a Rebirth or Fortune's Keep build. Commando is more so for Caldera, so just keep that in mind depending on what map you want to play, but either way you get a very consistent setup. I would also say the UGM-8 fits into the long range meta right now. It's a little bit more unique and different feeling because we're actually going to be using the burst barrel on here, primarily because it has no damage fall off. So when you get to 50, 60, 70 meters and beyond where other guns would have a damage drop off, this does not. Now keep in mind, it's a burst option, so you have to hold down the trigger and it'll burst repeatedly. It's not going to be that fully auto and as easy to use, but when you're landing your shots, the thing does feel very good. We are going to go for MX silencer on there. Obviously we got the burst barrel as mentioned, 3 to 6 times scope, same deal as always there. The anchor stock here is going to be better control during sustained fire, so we love to see that. There is a bit of horizontal bounce on this thing, so honestly strife angled, not a bad option here. You could also go for something like hand stop though too if you're not super comfortable with the control, just simply helping out horizontal. For the magazine, I like the British 75. That's plenty for a burst option here. Obviously going for lengthened. I actually use the stipple grip tape here, the Stippy Grippy, for that recoil recovery on burst. It's actually super useful. Perk 1, tight grip for the better control, and then obviously fully loaded on there yet again. And then lastly, we got the KG-M40. This thing is a laser beam. It got some pretty big buffs with the season 4 updates. You're gonna land your shots with this thing. It's very similar to the STG in my opinion, like what the STG was last season, kind of a sleeper weapon. Setup here gonna be relatively basic. MX silencer, the shrouded barrel here I think is the best way to go. Better control, better velocity. It's the standard long range barrel on a rifle, you know what I'm saying? Basic optic yet again, 3 to 6 times, 2.5 times, whatever your heart desires. For the stock here, padded is a great choice. It's going to give you all the recoil benefits you need, so it's going to feel like an absolute laser beam. Again, we are going to go for the hand stop on there. For the magazine, this is where you got several different options, right? The Clouser 60 is your basic extended mag. I feel like that's going to work super consistent all the time. 40 is kind of pushing it here, but it's going to be no recoil. Sakura 40, if you're struggling with the control a little bit, try this. Just be mindful of the ammo. 30 is not worth it, and the 30-06 I'm not really a huge fan of, so I think it's between really the Clouser 60 or the Sakura 40, and I feel like the basic extended mag gets the job done just fine. Lengthened and polymer on there per usual. Perk 1, tight grip yet again, and then perk 2, you guessed it, we're going for that maximized ammo with fully loaded. This is one of the weapons I was not expecting to feature in this video, but I'm glad I can because it does bring some diversity to the general long range meta. But that being said, that is the long range meta here in season 4. That's going to wrap things up for this one. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, or if you found the video helpful, let me know by dropping a like on it. And if you're new here, or if you have not already subscribed, every single day I got you covered with all things going on in COD. So feel free to hit that sub button and turn on those post notifications. But once again, thank you so much for tuning in. And until next time, take it easy. Have an awesome rest of your day. I'll catch you guys later. Peace out.